thank you all so much for being here. This is a presentation about the 75 years of photography of Cyril George, and we're gathered together to remember him, recognize him, and his clan nephew, Bernard DeAsis, is going to describe the select photos from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. So my name is Kathy Ruddy, and I'll be your moderator. The program will be, I'll give a profile of Cyril and an overview of the collection, and then a sample of the types of photos over the whole 75 years. Please come to the Hammond room, which has the 20s, 30s, 40s, and a little bit of the 50s. And we've spread them out so that you can look at them carefully. If you want to pick them up, please use the plastic gloves. And if you can make an identification, please write it on the yellow sticky and put it on the back. This is a significant collection of photos, and we need to protect the photos so that the emulsion doesn't get skin oil and things like that. So after I do that with the sample, then I'll be turning it over to Jill Meserve here, Castine. She's the technician who's been digitizing the photo. She's a student at University of Alaska Southeast, and she'll describe some of the challenges and satisfactions of digitizing a large collection like this. And then we'll turn it over to Cyril's clan nephew, Bernard DeAsis, who will tell stories about his uncle, who Bernard was raised in the traditional way by Cyril as a clan uncle, taught him to fish and to be a man. And he'll describe the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And after that, we'll be recognizing the family. We see there are many family members here. And we'll be turning the microphone over to one of the family members, Lil Woodbury, who is an accomplished photographer herself. The Shutterbug chromosome, I think, carried on into the generation, and who knows, maybe Khaleesi into the next generation will also be a photographer. So, to begin, I think we know Cyril in so many different ways. Fluent Tlingit speaker, culture bearer, mayor, Basket Bay Deshutan, fisherman, carpenter, boat builder, devoted husband, father, grandfather, and great-great-grandfather, a musician, skilled musician on guitar and also in arranging. He also had a skill that I find very rare, and that is with his humor he could coalesce and bring people together in an extraordinary way. And over the 30 years that I knew him, I saw it reliably. And I wanted to tell you two of those stories that I think exemplify how Cyril could read a crowd, and even later on in life when his hearing was not there, he could read a crowd and bring them together. The first story is, a little boy was overheard praying, "Lord, if you can't make me a better boy, don't worry about it. I'm having a real good time like I am." And then the other one was at a meeting where it was important to look at the details of what was being discussed. And Cyril told the story of a little boy sitting on a stoop out in front of a house. And the salesman goes through the gate, walks up the stairs and says, "Little boy, is your mother at home?" The little boy says, "Yeah." The salesman goes up to the door, bangs on the door, nobody answers. And he says to the little boy, "I thought you said your mother was at home." And the little boy said, "This is not my house." So the message was just to pay close attention to to details like that. Cyril was also a man of God, a leader in sobriety, and served on the Human Rights Commission. I'd like to first describe the collection, and we'll go over to the slides about the collection of photos that Cyril left. As I say, it spans 75 years. I would expect that there are several thousand photos there. They're being housed out at the university, and the family asked me to preserve them so that they would not suffer any mold or heat damage. And here is one of the sections of the collection. The students, Heather Burge and Jill Custine Meserve here, have been digitizing, and we started with the 20s, 30s, and 40s because those are the ones with critical identifications, which can be lost as people who can recognize these pass on. The next photo just gives you more of the understanding of the breadth of this. I would say that about an eighth of the collection is what is in the Hammond room, and the other portions of it are in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and 2000s. After the Front Street photo was one of Cyril's favorite hangouts. And the next. And here's Jill looking at some of the negatives. Next. Harold Jacobs came out to help identify the photos. There are many photos with multiple people in them. Cyril loved taking pictures of people. And the magic moments, but also people in groups. And so a lot of the challenges here are identifying these people that are here. Next. And Roberta, sister girl, Cyril's daughter, also came out and helped identify photos. Next. All right. So to give you a sample of the photos, we're going to start with a 4-minute video from the Silaska Heritage website. This is Cyril speaking in Tlingit about how he got his name. And the man on the right is the one who gave it to him, sorry.
Woodbury. Ach, these contain hostile shit carda hado akho. Ach, khando akut. Khakwa. Khaka. Ach, go Ach, side the hostile. Shan Kashi Kenach the Hunt Content 1922 the see Kuawa Hajinakranas Hush Hakusti Hayusakanke. Idadea Yahoan Hastinen is hard school creed. So had the oken Bashkainen has age. Yahoa Hastina. Kaya nai at يسيسكو هسكستي واتريك تريخ تركين وشوش هاتي دخ لهاشنا أخستي يخو خستينا أختك خنخيا أخيتك يدتو أختي وياتي كيف الشق كي أختي وطيخ أخستي كنا شيش يكستوان خدسو أخوة تسكين تسكشته أسكتوك خدتكو يكستو أخوات إلوهيك قاتل تشيخ كوبا بستي شينكت.
And this is one of 7 or 8 videos of Cyril speaking in Tlingit that were filmed at Silaska Heritage with Lance Twitchell and Ishmael Hope. Then if we can go back to the man on the right is the one who came over from Angoon. Sitka, sorry, and said, Kalkavu, I want my name to be on his face. And Cyril would say that whenever he stood up to speak, he could hear he could hear this man, but of course he learned from his mother what the man had said, so that the name would live on. But I recommend these videos through Silaska Heritage website. All right, so then I have about 20 slides that are a sample. So this one is Cyril and his father on the Merrimack. And Cyril told me that he was about 5 years old at the time. See, there's a little puppy there. And he said that the Merrimack was built by his father on the shore at Baranof Warm Springs. Willis George. Thank you. Please do call out. And if I make a mistake, I have no desire to offend, and if I make a mistake, please correct me. And this is Cyril and Janessa. Janessa, who was born in what year? 2001. Cyril, as I said, loved taking pictures of people and including them. All right. And then this is the Sheldon Jackson basketball team. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot one element that I wanted to read to you. I'd like to do that now. Cyril gave me this profile of himself a few years ago, and I'll read portions of it. Cyril W. George Sr. I have 4 names. I am 4x4 Tlingit, Basket Bay, Raven Beaver. Date and place of birth, October 4th, 1922, 5:30 a.m. in Hood Bay, Alaska, USA. A herring saltery plant, fancy pack. I lived in Angoon from 1945 to the 60s. I joined the A&B in 1942, still in high school. Went to the Angoon A&B convention. Some of the servicemen came home from the convention. I did not make the Army. I worked in a war plant in Patterson, New Jersey. Half a year junior college, Sheldon Jackson, pulled out of the Army, rejected because of bad knee. I am the only child of Lily James George and Killisnoo, a 4x4 Basket Bay Raven Beaver Tlingit. and Willis H. George of Killisnoo, a 4x4 Tequay brown bear of Angoon. My mom finished 6th grade in Sitka Training School, now SJS. She worked in canneries, a good seamstress. My dad finished 3rd grade in Killisnoo. He owned a 45-foot Sainer Merrimack that he and his dad built, later bought an oversized Sainer. He was the mayor of Angoon for 18 years. He had a gift of gab, a public speaker that earned him the title of Chief of Tequay of Angoon. My parents were Young People's Corps sergeant majors. My dad attended a lot of conventions, A and B, T and H. I was for statehood. I heard from the big boys, we need a voice in Washington, and that was that. Frank Peratrovich, Al Widmark, Frank Johnson, Andrew Hope, Cy Peck, Cyril Zuboff, Harry Douglas, Frank C., Walter Soblev, Sam Davis, Sandy Stevens, Frank Price, Frank Booth, a Tsimshian man, Pete Simpson, Ralph Young. These men I got to know, to speak to at conventions. These men were united in what they knew for the good of the people. There was power in vote. We needed help in Washington, these guys. When they spoke, you listened. My dad was a Democrat. When I went to vote for the first time, I was asked what party. I said Republican. It was the Republicans that got me appointed to the Human Rights Commission under Hickel. I was on there for 5 years. Governor Egan and I became good friends. I am now a Democrat. Egan has me come to Juneau for a special meeting as the chairman of the Human Rights Commission. I got to talk to Bob Bartlett at conventions, but not about anything of importance or earth-shaking. Same with Greening. Judy and I were delegates to AFN in Anchorage when Nixon signed the statehood bill. It was an awesome feeling when Nixon addressed the Alaska people. Frank Peratrovich became a powerhouse in the Senate. Frank Johnson, Al Widmark, Andrew Hope, Frank C., with a vote in the Alaska State Legislature, and others coming along later. I came to Juneau when Stepovich got in. The military band from Anchorage was here. And then a story when it was announced that President Roosevelt had died, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I was on a train going to work in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, to Paterson, New Jersey. I saw black people and others cry when that announcement came over the PA. As a boy coming to Juneau on shopping trips after fishing, I saw signs, whites only. Growing up in a village, you were never exposed to discrimination. I like to think things are getting better all the time. We have to keep on our toes. I tell Plickett and Hyden we need somebody to give pep talks. We need to be reminded that the good things we're enjoying did not fall on us. It came from someone's hard work. We need to give thanks for people with foresight. And then he wrote, I think I'm talking too much. Cyril. All right, so continuing on, this is the basketball team at Sheldon Jackson in one of the 40s, I forget what year this is. Next.
You want to identify?
Oh, sure.
On the left is Jeff David.
Microphone.
I don't know the two in the back, but the front left is Jeff David and then Cyril, and on the other end is Kenneth James. I guess that. I can't remember. I don't know who the other two are. That's awesome. Cool.
Oh, 1941. Cyril went to Sheldon Jackson before Hitler invaded Poland, and it was obviously such a sea change. He said that they used to monitor the reports mostly from Europe, and then when the bombs fell at Pearl Harbor, they had just launched one of the boats that they had built. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Do you know any more of these?
No, I don't know who the other guys are, like I said, but there's a trophy up on top of that ball. And I guess we're the champs. Cyril was one of the captains, and I think Lisa was another one. Don't know which one that is though.
All right, and there's the Sitka champs, 1940 to 41.
Yeah, Lisa is captain, and Cyril was a captain.
Oh, and the scores are down at the bottom. They won every game. Yeah. They beat Petersburg 44 to 33, Wrangell Institute 44 to 43, and Douglas High 44 to 27. Yes. And this is a picture of Cyril as a baby. We think maybe 1 year old. All right, and then this deserves a bit of a story. This is Cyril in costume for his role as the captain in the HMS Pinafore, the Gilbert and Sullivan play. It was performed at Sheldon Jackson. I don't know if anybody knows this play, HMS Pinafore. Fair moon to thee I sing, bright standard of the morning. That's Cyril, and he must have had a gorgeous voice as a singer also, because he played opposite Dick Deadeye, who was Father Michael Williams, was another one of the boat builders. And Dick Deadeye is the the kind of he's sort of a sourpuss who tells the truth. It's a mixed baby comic farce, here is his costume, and I think it was a big effort for them to do a musical in 1941. Sergey.
You know what the background? It could be the blockhouse in Sitka.
I think it is the blockhouse in Sitka. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Can you enlarge it any? Fancy costume. All right, next. And this is just a family photo that I wanted to put in. Cyril just photographed his family, loved to photograph his family. And this is a family gathering that I think is when Janessa was a baby. So again, 15.
My mother with Cyril's got his hand.
Oh, say it again?
My mother there with Cyril's hand on her shoulder.
That's Bernard's mom,
Judy in the back.
right next to Cyril, and Judy behind. All right, next. And then Cyril and Judy married in 71, and I believe she died in 2005, sister was telling me. All right, here's one that made me laugh when I saw it. I figured that Cyril was running for something and put the sofa in the back of the truck, but I think it was Mary Lekanoff, who's driving here, by the way. You can enlarge that part. She said no, they were just moving from one place to another. Oh yeah, and then say again who that is.
It's Nikki Lekanoff.
And Nikki Lekanoff in the middle there. All right, and then this is the type of photo that we really need identification for. This is a Salvation Army event, and we can see Cyril, second row to the left.
Right in front of him is Paul James.
Paul James right in front of him.
And can't remember him. I know him, but I can't remember.
Tommy
Lewis.
Jackson way in the back by the cross.
Tommy Jackson way in the back by the cross.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you all for the time that you take for identifying, and please, when you come to the room, we've got everything ready so you can sit down, look at the photos, hold them with a glove, please, and then write the names, put it on the back. Sister, you have another one?
I say George Lewis and Pete Johnson.
George Lewis,
George
and
Lewis.
Pete Johnson.
No, George Lewis there.
George Lewis, and Pete Johnson. All right, we'll try to get that in the metadata.
James. Or Silly James.
Yes, sorry, Harold.
Billy James.
Silly James, yeah.
Left
In the front.
Which one?
Billy James,
Billy James.
By the cross?
in the back or in the front?
On the front.
In front.
Yeah, right there.
Great.
My
Thank
son.
you all. Thank you all very much.
That was the last one.
Brother.
Pete Johnson from Haynes.
We'll sit down and get them all in order. Peter Metcalf has a special technique for this. It's put tracing paper over the top, circle the faces, number the faces, and then it's easier than saying second row left when the second row doesn't always exist. You know, so that's just a technique of identifying photos. Okay, next. All right, and this is Judy George and her sister Mary Lekanoff as babies. And I believe Jill got this from the negative, but she'll talk about the challenges of digitizing photos and what you can do with the negative. Okay, next. Cyril was a man of God, Salvation Army, and he preached at Chapel by the Lake about 15 years ago. And with his son Joey George, came and prayed and played the guitar. All right, so what I wanted to tell you about 1940-41 was that the Sheldon Jackson had a sawmill, but it burned down. So they had to replace the sawmill. And one of Bernard's presentations is a 2-minute video of them rebuilding the sawmill. After the sawmill was rebuilt, the Princeton, which the church had bought in Seattle in 1929, sank. It smacked up on Little Island right outside of Auk Bay, October of 1939. They had children from the Haynes house and 2 tons of potatoes strapped around to the deck, and they were going to Sitka. They smacked up on Little Island, the boat sank, and it's still there. I talked to people who dove on the Princeton, but no one died. There were, Annie Roberts was on board and her sisters, and then Falconer and Swagger. So, the church had no boat, and Walter Sobolev told me that they started gathering dimes and nickels from children around the country, and they laid the keel for the Princeton Hall in December of 1940. And laying a keel is in the Howard Brothers boat shop. You put a plumb bob, and that shows you, just a lead ball, that shows you which way is the perpendicular. So they built this boat in 1940. They launched it in 1941, December 3rd, 1941. And I see Jerry Hope here. This was his ancestor, Andrew Hope, who was the master boat builder. And Cyril George built the stack on this boat. Father Michael Williams, Jimmy Williams did all the railings. And then there was a whole other class that built the, that did the wood. They steamed the wood using the traditions of several thousand years. So after the boat was launched, it slid right into the arms of the Navy, because after the bombs fell at Pearl Harbor, the Navy conscripted all these boats. And Cyril would tell me, when the Navy seized the boat, everyone was crying. There was no one who was not crying. And this is Cyril at the wheel, and then behind him is Father Michael Williams. Over the 30 years that we knew Cyril, he came out on the boat many times with us, and this time had Father Michael Williams with him. And this is a trip we took in 2009 to Gambier Bay to commemorate the sinking of the USS Gambier Bay, which I think was the 70th anniversary. We read the names. Next. All right, and then this last section is of Cyril in ceremonial garb. This one, I'm not sure if this is Celebration 96, but why don't you go ahead and keep scrolling through these. I think that's the photo that we had at the beginning. This was a totem pole raising in Puna, I believe. And there's Lil's husband, Travis, holding the umbrella. And Matthew Fred on the left, Joe Bennett in the center, and Cyril. This is Celebration 96, and Cyril was asked to give a prayer. Sorry?
It's a great picture.
Thank you. And then here's Mr. Moore. I think this is on the stage at Centennial Hall. You can see Mark Jacobs Jr. Behind him to the right. All right, and so that ends my particular section, and so I'm going to turn the microphone over to Jill Castine Meserve to talk about the technical aspects of digitizing this collection.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. Like Kathy said, my name is Jill Meserve. I grew up in Huna. My second name is Costine. And my involvement with Cyril's photo collection started maybe about a year ago. My friend Heather Virgin and I were approached by Kathy, and she asked us if we would simply just organize the collection by decade. Well, that may seem like a fairly simple thing to do. As you can see here, it's a very large collection of photos. There's easy 20 plus boxes of pictures, and in each box, you know, it's just packed full of printed pictures. And so let's see, there's maybe about, I don't know, a couple dozen packets in this. In each packet, there's at least 20 pictures, and so a single box has about a couple hundred pictures. And it's a lot, and it's a lot of fun. It was a whole lot of fun to go through, but at the same time, it can be pretty difficult just to not really know when it took place. He does have a lot of pictures of family, which is, it's amazing to look at and to see his family through his photos, but at the same time, it's kind of, what decade is this, you know? But it was a lot of fun. A lot of these pictures, too, were really loose. They weren't grouped together in any packets, and so a lot of it was guesstimation, but that's why we really need the family or anybody else to come out to look at them, and if you can identify anybody in them, or just simply tell us what decade it is, it can really help us a lot, and it's also really a lot of fun to look at. And here's just another picture of it. You can see that just how many pictures are in these boxes. Each one is just packed. And it was a really great representation of his life and his family. And it was really heartwarming to see a whole lot of these really personal pictures, you know, weddings and funerals. But he loved basketball. There's probably an entire box about this full just of gold medal in 1997. So they're a lot of fun. And And so after we really looked at this collection and we thought we had it, organized pretty well, I talked to Kathy about what we can do further to preserve these pictures. And this here is a scanner that we have, and it's the FSM V600 photo slide scanner. And now, it's just like your typical home scanner, but a slide scanner is made specifically for scanning documents and scanning pictures. And so this is the scanner, what it looks like. It's pretty small, it can fit on your desk. You place the picture on this, just like any scanner. You place the picture here, close it, and it'll scan, and the program on your computer automatically puts it on there. Everything's pretty streamlined. But what's really cool about these slide scanners is that this little plate here, you can take it out, and it has inserts, so you can scan slides, old slides, or photo negatives. And doing this, you can get a lot higher quality photo, or a lot higher quality scan of a photo versus scanning a printed picture. And so this is just one example. This is a scan of a printed picture that Cyril has. This is Cyril and his aunt. And if I zoom in on her necklace, you can see as you start to get in, it gets a little pixely, it's not really clear on the necklace or her dress line. And so this picture was scanned at about 600 dpi, which is dots per inch, and it's just a measurement of the quality of the photo, of the digital photo. And this one here, somebody had created the negative of the photo. But what that does, I scanned this picture at about 3,600 dots per inch. So that's 3,000 more dots per inch than the last one. If you zoom in, you can really see how clear this necklace is compared to the last one. So scanning negatives, it can give you a lot greater quality picture, but as you can see, there's a line on here. The quality of the photos that you scan, it really depends on how well maintained the photos are themselves or the negatives. So the negatives, a lot of dust shows up. This one here, this is a picture of the sister girl, and I believe Bernard is going to talk about this picture later, but this picture was a scan of a slide from the 1960s. And so you can just see how amazing this color is. This is probably a lot better scan than I would have gotten from a printed picture of this. You can just see the color, but at the same time you can see, this slide is a little old. It has some wear on it. There's some dirt and some dust. It's a little piece of hair there. And these scanners, they're really great for just home use. The one that we have is only about $200. So if anybody here is looking for a way to preserve your own photos or to share it with the rest of your family, I would definitely look into a slide scanner. It's just a really easy and fast, it's really user-friendly, a way to preserving these pictures. And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you. And now, Bernard is going to talk about, and now,
Yeah, just
time for Bernard.
going back to that picture of the boat, Sister Girl, that was one that Cyril built, and it was kind of cute because when you see that boat coming from a short distance, you thought it was a big boat until it got close. You saw the little one. This is a picture of family. Marty Jones on the left, and Peter George. He was Peter James, and Grandma Lily adopted him, so he became Cyril's brother, Pete, and then Sarah, Lily, Grandma Emma. We're sisters. And then here's a picture of Willis and Lily, Grandpa Willis and
Keep the microphone.
Grandma Lily. And this one here, I am not sure who is on the left. And I can't remember her first name, but I know that there's people here who remember her. All I remember is Kilter Johnson's mother. I remember where she lives.
Annie. Annie Johnson.
Annie?
Annie
Johnson.
Johnson.
Anyway, I knew where she lived, and I knew who she was, but I couldn't remember her first name.
Martha Nelson's brother. Martha Nelson's mother.
Yeah. Who's on the left, you know? I don't remember, don't recognize her either. This is Emma and Cyril again, when he was a little guy. He stayed with her for a short while and actually grew up with her. Yeah. And this picture of old Killiston before the fire. I wish we can get closer, but people, I don't know if a lot of people see that. But it sure doesn't look like that anymore. But you see all the homes there that was there at the time before they moved to England. If I remember correctly, I was told that it was a herring cannery and a whaling cannery. Does anybody remember? And here's a picture of, this is George, John, and Annie, I believe was her name. Mary. Mary. And we, any of you remember Edward John was his parents. Edward John Jr.'s grandparents. On the left, on your right would be Charlie Jim. And I can't remember his name, but he's Annie's husband. Diane, remember?
Charlie. Charlie Johnson.
Charlie, okay. That's, Charlie Johnson. I don't, the other two there, I recognize the guy in the back, but I can't remember his name, and some of you may know who he is.
It looks like the man on the left is holding a blanket.
Oh, yeah, that's Charlie Jim.
Somebody's dancing behind a blanket.
And here is a picture of Sam Johnson, bottom, Minnie Johnson, Emma Hamburg, Susie Paul, and Lily, Grandma Lily, or Cyril's mother. There's one of Andrew Hope and Walter Sokoloff. That looks like that's in Nangoon. And here's a picture of Grandma Emma. Concho is her Plinkett name. Emma James, her maiden name, and Amber, her married name. 1921, I don't remember any of them. I think that just a pretty picture. There was someone in there that didn't want to be identified, so they cut it out. That I don't think that must have been close. And here, I don't know whose funeral this was. I do recognize, I think it's Daniel Wright. And Grandma on this one in the middle. And, I can't see who the rest are. I don't recognize them. Some of you may, I think I can do better if I put on my glasses.
zoom in on
Anybody,
the St.
if
John
anyone
Baptist.
recognizes anyone, let us know. We want to identify.
There's it says St. John the Baptist,
Right,
Brotherhood,
choir.
and the man with the sash, that was for the Brotherhood, Members Brotherhood, on the other side. That's actually St. It's Russian Orthodox.
Right.
There's just a picture of Willis, Lily, and Cyril again. Little guy there. And there's the same picture on the Merrimack with Willis and Cyril. I remember when they sold Merrimack, I felt really bad because I had a pair of guns, plastic guns in there that were mine, and they sold that both ways. There's a picture of three sisters. The one on the right is my grandmother Mary, on the right, that one there, and then Lily was her younger sister, and Lily's on there. And then Emma standing behind was a baby. And here's another picture. I think the one on the right here, if I remember correctly, he looks like Jim Paul. And there's Nahoo, Billy Jones. And then Charlie Johnson on the end. And I can't place who, do you know who that is, Diane? But, hey, Doc. You recognize it? What are you doing? Is that Peter Tom?
Yeah, it looks like him.
I thought it just came to me. I think that's Peter Tom. He's the guy that caught the world record king salmon on Rodney for a little while. And these I can't see. I think we identified some of them over here. Lily, and Dr. Name Johnson, Mary, my mother Lucy, and Minnie Johnson. I don't know who that is. That's one I can't identify. What's it good? And that, I believe, is Francis Johnson, and I don't know who the baby is. Who? That's Francis Johnson, Bessie Fred's sister. And this is, on the left, on your right is Grandma Lily. I don't know who the second one is, but the one on the next to her is Andrew Wanmaker, and my grandmother, Mary Wanmaker. Anyway, they had gotten married. I don't know who that little boy is. Here again, I can't remember who that is on the left, although I recognize her face, and on the one on the right is Grandma on Nason, and that's in her front porch. And there is Grandma Emma. And there again is George John's family. I think that's
Put your microphone close so they can't hear you.
Ed Bull standing in the back, and then Ethel and I forget her sister's name right now.
Sure.
had the same name as my mother, pointed upon too. Agreement, I think, is what went in front. Anyway, that's George John's family. Thanks. There's a picture of Frank Jack when he was a young man. I believe that's in Shelton Jackson, or I don't know. He went to what's the other school? Wrangell Institute. I know he went to Wrangell Institute, but I don't know where that's at. Go ahead. Picture in front of the church, old church in Angoon, and that's Charlie Willis on the back, Arvid Hamburg, Willis, and Mary Willis, and Lily, George. Must be Sunday. DeAsis, Charlie Joseph. And that's the name. I think I got his right name. Look at the name. Anybody know? Diane, you're the other expert. Is that DeAsis?
Yep.
And I don't know who that guy is, but that's my mother behind him and my brother Milton on the other side.
That's Bernard.
And here, I'm not sure who these are. I think that left one there is Cyril. That little kid looks like Tommy Davis, but I can't remember. No, for sure. That's who it is. And I don't know the one on the taller one. And again, looks like they're having an outing, Grandma Lily and Willis, and I'm not sure who the others are. If anyone knows who they are, speak out. I'm not sure who they are. This baby that, or young kid that Willis is holding looks like Peter George, so. Hearing aids. Boy, that looks good. Oh. That looks like Lily. Young Lily, I don't know. And I recognize Peter George in front. And I think that's Wally Frank's mother, Mabel. Right? Daisy Frank, and I guess that's on the end again is Mary. Go ahead. I see Sam Johnson and George John, Mary, Minnie, and on the end, I can't see who they are. The other end. Again, does anybody know who they are? The last two. No, that looks like Lily. Sheldon Jackson, and I don't know who they are, so let's call them the girls. Again, if anybody can recognize any faces in there, I'm sure they have relatives sitting out someplace. Yes. is a family from Yakutat. I don't know who they are. But they're a family from Yakutat. Diane, you come from Yakutat, you recognize them? Oh, it's Sheldon James. That says in the back. I don't know him. And there's a picture of my mother, Lucy, my sister Mildred, and I guess that's me. Go on.
Too much
And here's Sam Johnson and Minnie, Walter, and Herbert. Most people knew Herbert as Whiskers. And here was just a fun day. I remember when this picture was taken. That's my mother and Mary Willis, and they were dancing with boxes on their head, cannery boxes from cannery, that where they put the.
Was this
fish in. That's in Tennessee, not Superior, not Tennessee. Superior cannery. I don't remember the one in the middle. And here again is Sam Johnson and Minnie, Lily, and I don't know who the other two are. Yeah. Can't place them. And I think there's Basket Bay, but if we turn them around, we'll see who they are. I remember that picture, or I know where that picture was taken, in front of Cyril and Cyril's house and Jimmy George's house during the boardwalk. And that one there is in front of Anderson's house. And I still don't know who they are.
The microphone.
Oh. That one in the middle, I cannot remember her name again, but the one on the right is on this song. The one on the left, I can't recall either. I recognize one in the middle, but I don't remember her name. That's the same picture, I guess, but that's Emma in the middle. You remember the one on the right? Do you know who that is? Diane? Is she good there?
Like,
There's Judy at Edgeton. That would be in the 40s, early 50s. Go ahead, go on. That's when I first went out with Cyril. I didn't know he tagged that.
How old were you, maybe?
I was 12 and I was lying about my age. I said I was going on 13 because you couldn't be with fish with family, or you couldn't work with family unless you were 13 at that time. At the child labor law. And this picture, I have no idea how in the world he got it. First communion, that's me on the left, and then my brother Melton. I can't remember that guy there, but the next one is Bob Gurley, Niles Caesar, and Marcelo Quinto. And I don't remember that guy on the right. And he dropped in here in town years ago. I don't know. And that's my uncle Stephen Bell and Teresa, and I'm sad to say I heard Teresa just passed away a short time ago. She was Peterson, Mr. Peterson. Some of you know her. And there's the old basketball team again. Going from left, I guess it would be your right, is Matthew Gregg. Yeah. Billy John, David John, Joe Bennett, Georgie Paul, George Jones, Patrick Paul, next one, Patrick Paul, and then down the bottom is Cyril George, Willie Jack, Gilbert Johnson, Richard Willard, and Frank Jack. And I think they all went to, one of the teams that went to the gold medal. In fact, I know they did. Those were fun days. And here's Sheldon Jackson again. Jeff David in the middle, and Kenneth James right behind him. And Cyril next to Kenneth James. And I can't place it. I think that one with the ball, I think is Elise. I remember. Anyway, go on. And this one here looks like Mary Willis, and I don't know, that looks like Francis Johnson, but I'm not sure. Very well could be. Go ahead. Just someone playing ball at SJ. Doesn't look like he knows how to throw a football if he's throwing it. And there's the Wrangell Institute. Old Wrangell Institute. I don't know if anybody remembers it. That's a nice picture to have. There's the old 4th of July, I guess, sack races. That looked like fun. Go ahead. And I don't know what that is, but that first one is Lucy James. She married Bill Fawcett from Huna. And I believe the next one is Lillian, Cyril's first wife, Emma, and the one back further is it's Sophie Johnson. I think is her name. I can't see back further. You go on. There's a picture of Willis. That's a nice one. Good looking, handsome man.
Cyril's dad.
Yeah, Cyril's dad. And I don't know whose funeral this was, but it had to be family. I recognize Andesan on the left, and Annie Bennett next to her, and Molly Gamble. And I think the one next, Lily, tucked behind. And that's Johnson again, Peter Johnson's wife, and Nakamura. What is her name? Do you know? Anyway, going on at the end, I think it's Richard Willard's grandmother. I can't remember what her name is either. Gilbert. On the end there is Clatina. Peter Dick. It looks like Thomas Bennett behind him, and Albert Howard behind him. picture of Sheldon Jackson. That's Cyril, that looks like George Davis behind him. George Davis, and then Willis George, Paul James, and Peter Johnson. Peter, I don't know who the other guy is in front, like Cyril. I don't remember him. That's Kenneth James. No, that's Jim Klishkon on the end, going from the other end. Jim Klishkon, Jeff David, Cyril, and Kenneth James. And Jeff used to come to Angoon all the time with Cyril and go fishing. And that's myself and my brother were guarding during the war, guarding There's Charlie Willis and Mary Willis again in front of the church in Angoon. Frank, Roy Pradovich, Elizabeth Pradovich, and I believe that's Loretta that is holding their daughter. Anyway, we all stayed together. Roy, Elizabeth, and Elizabeth's dad, Andrew Wanmaker, was married to my grandmother, Mary. It's my Aunt Beatrice. Passed away in 1947. And these guys, I don't know who they are. I think that, like I said, that one that passed the ball over. I don't remember. Yeah. Okay. And there is my brother Roy. He was one of the ones that Emma she'd grab one of the kids and take care of them. Anyway, she started with Cyril, Beatrice, and then Roy. Keep putting this on. And there's the old Beller in Superior when they were scraping the barnacles. It was a warehouse in Superior in the background.
How many years did you fish on the Valor with Cyril?
I fished on this one for just a short while, and then we rebuilt it while it was floating. We put a new cabin on there. And I've been looking for that picture, and I haven't been able to find it. But I fished when it was like this. I fished with them for 3 years. Go ahead. There's a picture of Frank Jack with a boat that Arvid Hamburg made, and we always tried to tip it over and couldn't. There's Sister Girl again. Is that the last one? Are we starting over? And there it says Quinnichish.
And but the video of the rebuilding the sawmill.
Oh.
She's gonna 2 minutes.
So the sawmill at SJ burned down. Cyril said that there was some sort of flame that was to dry, and it got tipped over. So they had to rebuild the sawmill. This is a Leslie Young video.
What year?
And here,
1938 or 39, I'm not sure. 38, I think.
and here we are building the new sawmill, which is still standing, used as storehouse, about half of it, and the other half for the fisheries program. Putting the purlins in place on the roof. Student workers under Andrew Hope's direction, Cyril's orange, the Van Goon.
All right, so before we ask if there are any questions, I'd like to ask all of Cyril's descendants to please stand up. Cyril's family, could you please stand up? Thank you for coming. It's a pleasure to honor Cyril and his family, and we'd like to turn the microphone over to Lil Woodbury, who is one of the photographers who has kept this photography chromosome going along.